Hi guys, this is Phil from ebikeitalia and today I'm here to talk about a new incredible product, music! Hello dears, if you know me, you know my passion for a certain product, the hubs with integrated gear. You know that my chimera is built around this object. And I leave you, first of all, here at the top right, a video dedicated to the topic, that is to gear hubs, that is to hubs with internal gear mechanism. Obviously, before starting, I invite you to subscribe to this channel, to leave a thumbs up and to write me some comments on what you think about these hubs. Because today, I can say worldwide exclusively, I'm testing the Revolute HUB1, which is a very special product and different from many other gear hubs that we described in that famous video. Because it is a hub that has very interesting characteristic for the e-bike panorama. In fact, it was designed specifically for this use. First of all, because it has no limits on the torque, in the sense that it has a system that automatically manages the torque, so as not to break and therefore can manage torques greater than 2.5 Nm, which is not little. In addition, it has only 6 gears, because in e-bike we actually use the gear changes a little less and use the assistance a little more. This is to make it lighter, stronger and more reliable. For the occasion I borrowed a bike from a friend, so you see we don't completely remove the transmission and then restore it to the original version quickly. In addition, it has another great feature. It has what we could call heel assist. That is the fact of not being able to move the bike back when the gear is engaged. So, if we stop on a hill or a park, the bike will not go back. How to solve this problem? Because if we have to move the bike, for example in the garage, or we need to go back, we need to unlock the gear. There is no problem. There is a button in the rotary control to allow us to select the neutral gear, which does a very special thing. And I think even its engineers did not think about the implications that this could have on a full suspension mountain bike, because as you know, one of the biggest problems of full suspension mountain bikes is the famous pedal kickback. Here I leave you a video dedicated, please take a look, because it is very important to understand this problem and know how to deal with this. But the Revolute gives us a big hand in this situation, because in fact we go to disconnect the transmission and therefore it is like riding without chain, so zero pedal kickback. Obviously we can't pedal, but if we are on a very rugged terrain, steps, a particularly technical terrain, and if we are the average Sunday biker like me, so you don't spend too much time relaunching and you enjoy the descent, the particular passage, etc., without pedaling, well, with the chain as if it were detached, I assure you that there is a difference, especially on a trail bike where 140 mm of travel really became 140 mm of travel, and the difference is clear. It is possible to change gear while stationary and change under load, which is great. As I was telling you, there is a little button here that allows us not to accidentally put the gear into neutral. The kit includes a support that unloads the hub torque onto the frame, because otherwise it would obviously spin, and it forces us to use a larger disc, which in this case is a 203 compared to the standard 180. Being a full suspension bike, we need a small chain tensioner. Let's say that it is absolutely minimally invasive and very difficult to break. It is very internal, very far from the ground, and therefore this is a truly lifesaver for us mountain biker. The chain spins straight. And this is not a small thing. Let's go for a ride. Here we are. So, if you are a maniac of the perfect cadence, actually only 6 gear might seem few to you, because we have to play a lot with assistance, and this is what it was designed for. In this way, I only have 6 gears. I have to concentrate less on choosing the right gear, and maybe I increase the engine assistance a little. The philosophy is that. So you see that now I am in this cadence, let's say, If I want to change gear, this is the next gear. All in all, the jump is not huge, because the gears are also designed in such a way to increase the increment between one gear and the other in almost exponential way. However, now we are in our reference straight, and I use it like an absolutely normal gear system. Topic: shifting under load. It is one of the prerogatives and also bugbears of gear upshifting system, and in any case also of traditional systems. Then Revolute say that you can shift under load, and in fact you can, because now I'm in turbo. I'm taking a very stepped rail, you can hear, and the shift was there. Let's say that lighting the gear a bit obviously helps, as in a traditional system. Instead, on the downhill parts, I can shift immediately. So now I change direction, I go downhill and change all the gears in a twist, even thinking about it too much. The 20mm disc compared to the normal disc is very good, but now I want to try this sensation. I have to stop and press the button by putting it in a neutral. This way this pedaling is gone, and I go and enjoy all the millimeters of travel in the suspension. So the bike really changes its character, guys, because the pedal kickback disappears. In fact, I'm going much faster than usual. The suspension is much faster, much more responsive. Mamma mia, how beautiful it really is. Another bike seems much more travel because we use it all, and so it's nice.
La sospensione è molto più veloce, molto più reattiva. Mamma mia, che bello! Veramente un'altra bici, sembra molto più travel perché lo sfruttiamo tutto e quindi tanta roba, bello! E qua che adesso affrontiamo la salita in
Now we face the climb. I shift into gear easily under load. On a steps loop, I'm already in turbo with this Yamaha. That's no problem. Nice.
In turbo con questo Yamaha non c'è nessun problema, bello.
Then actually I can also do it on the move, this change. So finger on the bottom, engage the gear, neutral, down the saddle again to go to another downhill stretch.
A fare un altro tratto di discesa.
We have earned the climb and now suddenly the descent begins. Well, done. Instead you want between track. And here we go again to fully enjoy our beautiful rear suspension. Here, for example, in the stretch where I usually pedal a bit, I pump it a little, and I can face everything calmly without engaging the gear. Here is the Curva della Muerte, and then we completely release the brake. Here usually I have a little relaunch, but we experience it more passively, but then we go have fun making the suspension work.
Qua divertirci, far lavorare le sospensioni.
I jump very high.
Salto molto alto.
And here too. We continue to enjoy zero pedal feedback, well, very nice.
E anche qui continuiamo a goderci zero pedal feedback.
Obviously the pedal must be well cloned. You see, I'm not usually pedal. If you have seen another videos of mine, Maybe here I rise a little bit, but we don't care. I mean, if we are not looking for performance, but we are having fun like this, there is no point in going to risk too much.
Non serve a nulla. Andare a rischiare troppo.
And so once we get to the end of the downhill, we re-engage the gear and we are ready to start again.
E siamo pronti per ripartire. Bello.
I think it's a very interesting product, especially for this little detail that I repeat, in my opinion, the manufacturers did not think of it for this use, but from the first meter it was clear to me that it could be a very interesting toy. And so I have been exploiting in these mounts, I have used it in this mode, and I must say that the bike is really a 140mm trail, but it does them all. It does all the millimeters all the time.
E quindi non abbiamo più problemi di cosa mettere e cosa non mettere.
Now this is the longest gear, just to give you an idea. I'm 30 km per hour, for example. Let's say I'm pedaling by myself, the engine is off, and it seems to me an adequate gear ratio, especially for these trails. Well, the conclusion of this test, of these mounts, that Revolute has entrusted to me this test. I thank them so much for the opportunity and because I actually had fun. It is one of those products that you say, oh yes, it changed your life a bit. So let's say pro and cons. As you will know, the main problem, which is that of the weight, no, all in all, as you can see, the weight increases by 300 grams, but you will tell me they are all on the real wheel, but they are concentrated, and therefore they are not felt much, neither in acceleration nor in braking. Then we have a larger disc on the rear, so in the end it compensates very well the issue of braking. Gear spacing. Here this can be a topic of discussion, because 6 gears with a 40-100% ratio is a blanket maybe, is likely too short for certain uses. So we can pedal around 36-37 km per hour, and maybe the short gear is likely longer than 46 teeth, and so we are around maybe 42 as a ratio. So let's say 34-14 teeth becomes maybe slightly too long, but you can intervene obviously by changing the rear sprocket. There are no limits of torques, so we can put a much larger ratio. Obviously we will have a short ratio, but also the long ratio will become a little shorter. But if you are like me, for example, above 30 km per hour, I almost never pedal, so very good. We are satisfied with 35 km per hour, and uphill we can have a very short ratio, and this is help us. Gear changes under load, and the chain is always straight, and nothing breaks anymore, so we can have a ride peacefully. The hill assist system is a bit particular. We have to get used to it, because obviously uphill, when we stop, okay, it's fantastic. However, I have to move the bike backward. I say, oh damn, it's true. I have to remember to engage neutral, and here you can move the bike. Let me know what you think about it, because here we have a new product, really different from the others. It has a very competitive price compared to the competition. Let me know what you think in the comments. I wait you in the next videos. I wait you on the next video on Ebike Italia. See you next time. Bye!
Alla prossima, ciao!